In the late 1980s, something strange was going on at Lamborghini's headquarters in Sant'Agata Bolognese, Italy. A new car was being tested behind closed doors. It did not have the famous V12 engine. It was not meant to go faster than the Diablo, and it was not even that big. But it had one job: replace the slow-selling Lamborghini Jalpa. That car had been around since 1981, and by the late 1980s, it looked and felt outdated. Lamborghini needed something fresh, cheaper than the Diablo, and able to pull in younger buyers. That is when the Lamborghini P140 was born. The P140 started life in 1987 with a clear goal to build a new entry-level sports car. This time, Lamborghini wanted to try something new, a V10 engine. This would be the company's first time using a 10-cylinder engine. The man behind the design was Marcello Gandini, the same person who had shaped the Lamborghini Miura and Countach. So naturally, the P140 looked sharp and wedge-shaped, just like his other designs. It had a low nose, big side air intakes, and a rear that looked ready to go racing. The engine was a 4.0-liter V10 designed in-house by Lamborghini engineers. It could produce about 372 horsepower at 7,200 revolutions per minute and 288 pound-feet of torque at 5,500 revolutions per minute. The car had a 6-speed manual transmission and a rear mid-engine layout. This meant the engine sat behind the driver but ahead of the rear wheels. The top speed was estimated at around 186 miles per hour, and it could go from 0 to 60 in about 5 seconds. Not slow, but not exactly terrifying either. The P140 was also built with some high-tech materials for the time. The chassis was an aluminum monocoque, and the body used carbon fiber panels. It weighed around 2,835 pounds. Lamborghini made 3 main prototypes. The orange one was fully functional and tested at the Nardo Ring in Italy, hitting nearly 186 miles per hour. The red one was more of a show car without an engine, and the white one was built between 1991 and 1992. It crashed during testing but was later fixed and is now sitting inside the Lamborghini Museum. So why did it never reach production? One big reason was money. In the early 1990s, the world was hit by a recession. Oil prices were up due to the Gulf crisis. Chrysler, which owned Lamborghini at the time, decided the P140 was too risky. They already had the Diablo and did not want to launch another car during a tough economic time. Still, the P140 did not disappear completely. In 1995, Italdesign Giugiaro used the same V10 in a new concept car called the Lamborghini Cala. That also never made it to production, but it gave Lamborghini the final push toward what would become one of its most successful models, the Lamborghini Gallardo, released in 2003. In a strange way, the P140 died so the Gallardo could live. In the late 1980s, something strange happened in the world of racing. Imagine seeing a regular-looking sedan pull up next to a Formula One car and then leave it behind. That was the whole idea behind a wild project called the Alfa Romeo 164 Pro car. It looked like a normal road car, but underneath, it was something else entirely. It was born from a racing series that never even started, driven by one man's dream and built with Formula One power. But almost no one talks about it now. In 1987, Bernie Ecclestone, head of the Formula One Constructors Association, had a new idea. He wanted a racing series called Pro Car, where the cars would look like regular production cars but have the speed of Formula One machines. To qualify, the cars had to be based on a model that sold at least 25,000 units a year. Bernie hoped these races would be held before Formula One Grand Prix events to get more people excited. But most car companies were not interested. Alfa Romeo, however, decided to go for it. They chose their brand new sedan, the Alfa Romeo 164, as the base, but instead of just tuning it up, they turned it into something completely different. They teamed up with Brabham, a British racing team they had previously supplied engines to in Formula One. Brabham would build the chassis and make it race-ready. The Alfa Romeo 164 Pro car may have looked like the regular 164 sedan, but under the body was a full Formula One car. The body panels were made of Kevlar to keep the shape of the street version. The chassis was a carbon fiber monocoque, just like in a real Formula One car. That made it both light and strong. The most shocking part was the engine. It used a 3.5-liter V10 engine called the Alfa Romeo V1035, which had been made for Formula One. This engine produced about 620 horsepower at 13,300 revolutions per minute. It could push the car to over 211 miles per hour. The car had a 6-speed semi-automatic transmission and rear-wheel drive. It had double wishbone suspension and high-performance disc brakes to handle that kind of speed. The car made its public debut at the 1988 Italian Grand Prix in Monza. It was driven by Riccardo Patrese, who did a few demonstration laps. People were shocked at how fast it was, especially since it looked like a normal car. But the Pro Car series was cancelled before it even began. Other manufacturers backed out, and no races were ever held. In the end, Alfa Romeo only built one prototype of the 164 Pro Car. It now sits in the Alfa Romeo Museum in Arese, Italy. It is a reminder of what might have been, a full-blown Formula One engine hiding inside an everyday sedan. The Pro Car project faded quickly, but the 164 Pro Car still stands as one of the strangest, fastest cars that never got to race. It tried to mix business with madness, and almost pulled it off. In the early 2000s, while most race teams were either going big or going home, a small British company called Assari decided to go fast. Very fast. They created a machine that looked like it belonged on a sci-fi poster and sounded like an angry wasp with a microphone. But under all the flash, this car had a strange history filled with broken gearboxes, missed races, and just 2 copies ever built. This was the Assari A410, a forgotten Le Mans prototype that tried to race with the giants and sometimes even beat them. Assari Cars was founded in the United Kingdom in 1995 by Klaus Zwart, a wealthy Dutch oil businessman. The company wasn't interested in building family sedans or budget hatchbacks. They wanted to race. In the year 2000, they revealed the Assari A410, a car built for the LMP 900 category. This was the top class of endurance racing, where the best teams fought in long-distance events like the 24 Hours of Le Mans. The A410 was not just a pretty shell. It had a carbon fiber monocoque chassis, double wishbone suspension, and carbon brakes. It weighed only 1,984 pounds. But the biggest surprise sat behind the driver, a 4.0-liter Judd GV4 V10 engine, the kind used in Formula One. This engine screamed to 10,250 revolutions per minute, pushing out 600 horsepower and 475 newton-meters of torque. It was connected to a 6-speed sequential manual gearbox and sent power to the rear wheels. On paper, this car could eat miles for breakfast. The car's first real test came at the 500 kilometers of Silverstone in 2000. That didn't go well. It broke down before the race even started. Later that year, it entered more races like the 1,000 kilometers of Nürburgring, but things kept falling apart. Gearbox issues, electrical faults, you name it. It finished one race at Brno, placing 19th. Not exactly legendary, but it was something. In 2001, things started to improve. The driver lineup changed to include Ben Collins, who would later become known as the Steeg from Top Gear, and Werner Loopberger, a South African racer. At the Monza 1,000 kilometers, the A410 took second place. Even better, at Donington Park, it won. That was the only victory in its short racing life. In 2002, the car was updated and renamed the Assari KZR1. It tried its luck at American races like the 12 Hours of Sebring and the 24 Hours of Daytona. The KZR1 finished 6th at Sebring, but reliability was still a big problem. By 2003, Assari stopped racing and focused on road cars like the Assari KZ1. Only 2 A410s were ever built. They now live quiet lives in private collections, occasionally showing up at historic events. The A410's story is not one of endless victories. It is the story of a team that dared to enter the toughest races in the world with a homemade machine, and sometimes, for a brief moment, it worked. In the early 1990s, something unexpected rolled out of Toyota's racing division. It was loud, low, and looked nothing like the everyday sedans they were known for. While most people thought of the Toyota Corolla or Camry, Deep inside the company's motorsport team, a beast was being built to take on Europe's fastest cars at one of the hardest races in the world, Le Mans. This was the Toyota TS010, a car that looked like it had leapt out of a wind tunnel and crashed straight into reality. The Toyota TS010 was created during a time of change. In 1991, the Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile, the group that ran the World Sports Car Championship, announced new rules. These rules banned turbocharged engines and demanded 3.5-liter naturally aspirated engines, just like in Formula One. That forced every team to rethink everything, including Toyota. They had been using turbocharged V8 engines in earlier cars, but now they had to start over. To lead the design, Toyota hired Tony Southgate, a well-known British race car designer who had worked with teams like Lotus and Jaguar. Under him, the new TS010 came to life. The car used a new engine called the Toyota RV10, a 3.5-liter V10 that could scream all the way up to 12,000 revolutions per minute. It could make around 600 to 750 horsepower, depending on the setup. Torque was strong too, between 330 and 400 pound-feet. The whole car weighed only 1,653 pounds. That was lighter than most compact cars on the road. The first race for the TS010 was at Autopolis, Japan in late 1991. Drivers Jeff Lees and Andy Wallace finished 6th. It was not a win, but it showed promise. In 1992, Toyota pushed harder. The TS010 won the 500 kilometers of Monza in Italy with Jeff Lees and Hitoshi Ogawa behind the wheel. At the 24 Hours of Le Mans that year, Toyota entered 3 TS010 cars. Their best finish was second place, just 6 laps behind the winning Peugeot 905. That was a big moment. Toyota had come very close to winning the toughest endurance race in the world. By 1993, the World Sports Car Championship had ended, and so had Japan's own All Japan Sports Prototype Championship, leaving Toyota with only one major race to focus on, Le Mans. For the 1993 Le Mans race, Toyota built 3 fresh TS010 cars. The top result came from Eddie Irvine, Masanori Sakiya, and Toshio Suzuki, who finished 4th. The TS010 had a sleek body made from carbon composite materials. It had a double wishbone suspension with pushrod-operated springs and dampers on both ends. It also had carbon brakes and a 6-speed manual gearbox. On a good day, it could hit 215 miles per hour. Even though the TS010 never won Le Mans, it helped Toyota learn a lot. It paved the way for future cars like the Toyota GT1 TS020. For a company mostly known for reliable street cars, the TS010 was something different, a serious race car built with purpose, speed, and a little surprise.